This is an audio of Spiritual Souls Sliding Sideways, Chapter 1, Who Are We? I have always been, I will always be. I exist, I am free. I have strived and begged, I pleaded and prayed, confusion and misery have engulfed me. I have reached as far as a person can reach. I am still lost in the endless information. This is how I reorder the information I have received. We live each day taking in the world around us. We spend most of our time organizing the reality in which we live. We keep pushing forward regardless of feelings and conscious thoughts. We choose to move forward regardless of circumstances. The question is, what drives us? What drives us from the inside? The personal core is us. The core is where all the different pieces we come from fit together. We are a creation of different information. We are information. We all are part of similar and different information that we receive in the womb. We hold the core of who we are and will become within us. The core is the information in us. There can be a variety of information that makes up who we are. Knowing is information that can answer life's mysteries. Who we are on the inside comes from all the information programmed into our spirits and bodies. Spiritual information is the spirit. The spirit is part of our programming. The mind shows what we like and dislike. The mind also reveals our personality traits, hair color, eye color, and more. The mind draws this from spiritual information and physical DNA. The spirit combined with the body completes the information that is us. When the creators created the body, it already possessed its own information. The body had what it needed except for the spirit. The creators designed the spirit to have information that made it sentient. The body and spirit are the completion of the soul. The spirit and body unite as one soul. The inner part of who we are is where the spirit exists. The soul is the combination of complex programming. The soul involves an unknown amount of information we need to discover. When we discover our information, we are discovering God. The essence of our internal selves represents the larger perspective in life. I may not agree with the programming. I do not always understand the meaning behind the program. I do not understand how it all fits, for better or worse. Each person is a combination of spiritual and physical information. The information that makes us us is the cosmic order of function. For existence to be existence, there must be a cosmic order. Order is a chaos organized. When someone organizes chaos, they turn it into their intended purpose. Everything serves a purpose, but only after we organize it to do so. Before we were organized, unorganized matter defined us. Organized matter is the correct order of information. Someone has programmed the information to serve a purpose. A team designs and programs a computer to serve a certain purpose. Electricity is the spirit, the body is the computer. We are organic and spiritual information. Creators designed us to be spiritual and organic, sentient beings. The Supreme Order gathered the information provided for the body and spirit. The Supreme Order is the combining factor of information to bring forth life. The first sentient being I call God. The cosmic order that is God is the mystery we have yet to discover. We should accept that cosmic energy is God. God is the mystery of cosmic knowledge. We are different parts of the whole. We are the fingers on the hand. We are a small piece of cosmic information. We all are cosmic information. We all are part of the whole, which is God. We are the fragments of many fragments. What is life but information? Information is the reason there is existence at all. Information is the mystery we discover. We are information gathering more information. We are pieces of information. When we gather it, we can't see how it all fits together. The information in its whole is God. We are creation that create. Elements wait for someone to combine them to create a candy bar. Creation creates creation and so on. Creation parts lack the ability to create themselves or anything else. A candy bar cannot create another candy bar because it is not sentient. Who we are is simple and yet complex. Simple is knowing we have many pieces of information. Complex, what is all the information that is us? We as humans are still discovering the why behind the whole. We are on a journey to discover the meaning behind the cosmic whole. Every piece of information in its own category is a very long list. Each list for each person would have similarities and different information. Consider the elements of wood, iron, steel, and air, which are information. Organizing information holds great significance. Information is different between a three-legged stool and a four-legged stool. The information that exists and will exist is the blueprint for organized reality. The inner self is easier to explain as a whole. When we dig deeper, we can discover the combination of many parts. Parts are information that make us who we are. When you can create an inner silence, then you can listen to the core of who you are. It is the same as listening to a song you play on any device. We need to stay focused on the lyrics and music for meaning. Focus is what helps us hear the music and the lyrics. If we listen to the song and become distracted, we lose focus on the song. When we listen to our inner core, we can perceive the music of our spirit. We need to listen to the information contained within. We can be the needle playing the record of our spirit. We can be the laser reading the information on our spiritual CD. The information about our spirits is the key to understanding self. The call from within is always playing inside of us. Whether we are asleep or awake, we can choose to listen to the music and song of our spirits. We can gain all the information we need from inside. The song of another person may seem similar or different. We all serve a purpose that we created to fulfill. We all have different melodies that have the same keys. At times we play our keys differently, while at other times we play them in the same manner. People in harmony play the information the same way. People in chaos have conflicting tunes. The opposite music would not sound good together if someone played it at the same time. The conflict of music is the chaos of two different people. We should try to have musical similarities with others. The internal chaos is the conflict of information that we ourselves can suffer from. Mixing outer information with our inner information can create internal chaos. Harmony is the mixture of internal information and outer information matching. We are what is internal, and what is external is not a part of us. What is external can only harmonize or create chaos for our internal selves. We can listen to and discover our internal selves to understand self-harmony. We can find harmony within ourselves and in our surroundings. We can understand how we fit with the mixture of our internal and external realities. We can understand how we can create harmony and chaos for ourselves. We can have some control over how we feel and do not feel. There is an evolving permanent core, and we only need to access what is inside ourselves. We can access this consistent information by shutting the outside world out. When we shut the world out, we can hear what is going on in our core. The outside distracts us from understanding our true selves. Our outside is the very thing that pulls us away from who we are. External factors cannot dictate our true identity. We can only attempt to get outside to match the inside. It is better if we have harmony when we want inner silence. The inside needs the outside world to be silent. We must put a muzzle on the outside world to hear our inside world. The inside world is our truth. Our truth is how we find peace. By shutting the world out for any amount of time, we can hear our inside information. Conscious thoughts interfere with accessing inside information. We need to silence conscious thoughts. We need to listen to the voice of our inner core. Our conscious thoughts are not our inner core. Our inner core will talk when we silence our conscious thoughts and the outer world. What we hear from our core may be absent from our conscious awareness. What is being said by the true self may not be obtainable in this world. The true self remembers what information is missing. We can add to our true self because of free will. When we existed in the presence of God, we had all the information we needed. When we left God, we only retained the information for Earth's survival. We left behind universal knowledge upon coming to Earth. The inner self reminds us that we lack a connection to all information. Who we are is a collective of information put into us. We are looking for the collective cosmic information we came from, which is God. Pieces of information make up the internal self. Some people may own 100,000 pieces of information. Some people may own 1 million pieces of information. Our true selves understand the information we can gain. The core of who we are is the whispering of information. People are parts of the various parts of the cosmic information of God. We all matter because we all are the organized information of a cosmic God. I could be an H, you could be an O, and the next person could be a T, and when we get together we spell hot. We are parts of a cosmic information. We can learn about cosmic information by exploring our inner selves and those of others. The inner self will only be apart from God until we return to God. God explains all the pieces of how they fit together. Fitting the pieces together makes existence make sense. When we put a puzzle together, we only see one piece at a time. One piece is not the whole picture. When we put the whole puzzle together, then we get the whole picture. Each puzzle piece represents each of us as individuals. When we come together, we get a fraction of the picture that is God. Even if all people connect, it will still represent only a fraction of the truth. The whole truth is when we return to God. The galaxy and the galaxies and so on are parts of God. They are only parts of the truth in existence. If only we could see all existence. If only we could see what existence contains. If only we could understand all and every function of each piece. Can we understand the whole, which is the cosmic God? We can see how big the puzzle is when we take all existence into mind. We do not need to put it all together to know God. We can know God when we listen to our core. To understand the whole, we need to be with God again. Cosmic life means we are fragments of God. We are pieces and parts of existence. We have an internal purpose. I hope you can understand why it is so important to understand the puzzle. The inner self stops sending off a signal. The inner self is our conscience. The inner self is our own personal song. The inner self tells us where we fit in the puzzle. The inner self is who we are and how much more we can become. God is knowledge, and we will always be a part of Him. We must continue adding to what we already know. We are all on a journey of information discovery. We started in life as basic information. We can continue to accumulate more information. We may not be limitless, but we are not limited either. We can gain from the core, which is evolving, and add to it. The core can change as we accumulate universal information. We can consider the core information a rock. Someone tosses the rock into the spiritual ocean. We can consider the spiritual ocean to be information we can gain. The rock can grow with each piece of information. The rock is an eternal and evolving sentient being. You can add to the rock, especially when it serves the purpose of the cosmic order. The cosmic order is necessary for the greater good. We are eternal because the eternal God made us. God made us unbreakable, except by Him alone to break. God has a perfect understanding of body and spirit. God understands how the outside world affects the body and spirit. As a rock from the outside, we can be dazzled. We need to understand that the dazzle of the outside world is like a bug zapper. We should pay attention to how our core affects us on the inside. We can be lured from the spiritual ocean onto dry land. The dry land represents twisted knowledge. Twisted knowledge is what we can make up to feel safe. We still are the rock that we are created to be, whether we stand on dry land or swim in the spiritual ocean. You can alter the rock for good or evil. The consistency of what we are meant to be and do forms the core of who we are. What part of God are we missing? We will receive what is missing when we are back with God. God may grant us what we are missing while we are still in the flesh. There is nothing in this world that can make up for God. We cannot replace God with pieces. We cannot see the whole picture without God. The human desire to learn and grow is the basis for rediscovering God. We can only remember God when we return to where it all began. It all began with universal information. We must be realistic about who we are and what we are missing. Where do we fit as a piece of the cosmic God? We can hear the parts of the information we have when we stop and listen to who we are. Who we are is not enough to make up for what we are missing. What is missing is God. Knowing who we are and what we are missing can create joy and sadness. Knowing who we are is a better way to connect to God. When we find who we are, then we can turn ourselves on like a cell phone. We can use prayer to connect to what we are missing. We may not see God, but we can still hear the Holy Ghost on the other line. The Holy Ghost is the mediator for God on earth. The true inner self is one step away from remembering the whole. We are one step away from hearing the whole. We only need to spend time without the world and our conscious thoughts and listen to our core. How well do we listen? How much do we trust ourselves to stop listening to the outside world and our conscious selves? This world traps us by not giving us enough time to hear our core. We cannot hear our core when outside noise and our own thoughts drown it out. We store the core within our carnal minds. The core is the spirit. The body and the mind were designed to survive in this fallen world. The essence of our identity was designed to maintain spiritual connection with God. When all we hear is the world and our conscious thoughts, it creates more confusion about who we are. When we rely on earthly knowledge, we neglect to listen to our core self. Humans are meant to use earthly knowledge only to survive on earth. Earthly knowledge was not intended to clarify our spiritual identity. Spiritual knowledge can explain the body, mind, and who we are. We can integrate spiritual knowledge into this earthly reality. I share this knowledge to connect you to your spiritual core here on earth. This book will not bring you to your core. You must do what it takes to reach your core. You need to decide how much time it will take for you to reach your core. You can choose to reach your core by shutting out the world when you put this book down. We must remember that earthly communication is key for some spiritual insights. Like anything, sometimes we need directions to reach our destination. The directions are how to get where we are going. We can use spiritual knowledge as a tool to explain who we are. With each of us being individuals, we must listen to God and ourselves. Only our inner selves and God can tell us who we are. Outside information can only explain how to survive this earth. Our true identity consists of spiritual information. Spiritual information is at the core. Only spiritual information from above can explain who we are. Only our core and God can explain to the outside world what and who we are. I hope you grasp the extent of your uniqueness. No one can tell you who you are but you and God. Describing earthly explanations for our true nature presents challenges. We can express our core in earthly language at times. We can explain sometimes who we are to the world when we understand. Earthly explanations may not provide the same insights as complex spiritual information. Spiritual information can be too complicated to put into earthly words sometimes. Sometimes what we receive from our inner selves is spiritual concepts. Spiritual concepts can be difficult to express using earthly language. Our earthly selves must heed our spiritual cores. We must pray for spiritual understanding. When we become too earthly, we will find it harder to hear our spiritual selves. We are what we are, beyond this life and without this life. We can hear our core best when we understand we are the core combined with the body. The body grounds us on earth, the spirit connects us with God again. What effort does it take to shut out the world and still live in it? What does it take to quiet our conscious thoughts and hear our inner voice? We need to distinguish between spiritual thoughts and earthly thoughts. Then we should separate them. We often mix up our conscious thoughts with our inner core knowledge. Earthly conscious thoughts differ from spiritual thoughts. Earthly conscious thoughts will always center on earthly living. Spiritual thoughts will consistently center on matters beyond earthly living. The true spiritual self is not trying to tell you where to find gold. The true self is trying to tell you who you are in this cosmic existence. It is always best to spend our time learning and separating all information. Conscious thoughts and the outside world keep us from our inner selves. When we can quiet our conscious thoughts and the outside world, then we will discover our true selves. Once we can silence our conscious thoughts and the outside world, then all we must do is listen. Discovering earthly silence unlocks our personal serenity. In this earthly silence, our true inner selves will communicate with us. What we feel deep inside can clash with our thoughts, feelings, and what is happening around us. True self does not seek earthly gain. True self wants to remind you of who you are. The true self does not care about what it takes to survive in this life. Your true self reminds you of who you were created to be. True self is a reminder of who we were when we were with God.